Hello and welcome to That Beautiful Life podcast. This is episode 160. My name is Caduce Campbell, sitting here in the beautiful Reading, United Kingdom, talking to the beautiful Roger Bergstrom all the way in Stockholm, Sweden. Rog, how are you doing today?
I am fine. I'm fine. I was a bit tired when I woke up. I woke up early first, just before 5 a.m. I don't know. It was one of those mornings. But I fell asleep again. But yeah, it's fine. It's basically pretty nice. I just wrote to, I think, it's a follower on YouTube, just asking, how are you? I'm fine. How are you? La, 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 living in different parts of the world. And I just said, well, it's nice to see that the days are getting a bit longer, meaning that the apparently here when I live like in Scandinavia, in Sweden, and it's far up north. So the days during winter time, even though it's south part of Sweden, is quite short. So now it's starting to get more light. And as I said already last week, we had some good days with good weather, like sun and around zero, just maybe 1 or 2, 3 minus degrees. So that's been really nice. So I can't complain. Can't complain. But what about you and the British weather and everything? What's up?
It's weird. It's spring weather. It's like it's confused as to what it wants to be. It's like one day it's like cold, one day it's warm, and it's cold again, and it's warm again. So you can't really you can't schedule anything. It seems like because you just don't know what you're gonna get. So very random indeed. That being said, with the way it is right now, Ty's at home, Xavi's on his ski trip in Austria. So essentially,
oh shit,
that's nice.
What's that, through school or? Yeah.
So his school has a thing they're doing with another school or a couple other schools where they've come together to sort of like send some kids to Austria to go skiing. And essentially, the thing is that, well, it's voluntary and the parents have to pay. We got some help from family to be able to afford such an expense, and it was done over a period of a course of months because it was quite pricey, to be honest. I think it was mostly over last year. It was like piece by piece by piece by piece until eventually got up to the point where, you know what, he's covered, he's good to go. And I dropped him off on Friday night, and he arrived sometime on I believe either Saturday or Sunday, and they went off and did their thing. So it was a coach. They just drove straight through France and then Germany and of course to Austria and so forth. So he's up there enjoying himself. I barely hear from him. He doesn't call.
I take that as a good sign.
You take it as a good sign?
He's most likely busy and having a good time. That's what I would say. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you shouldn't worry about that too much.
I take it as he tossed me aside. He's like, well, I'm got no time for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Not important.
I don't need him anymore.
My feelings are hurt, just so you know.
Yeah, no, but once again, I think that's good. I mean, he will grow with this, and great opportunity, of course, to come away and do such a thing. I would like to go and ski in Austria as well. I mean, I grew up skiing a lot since it was in the north part of Sweden and downhill. We went like on semesters and stuff, and during the winter we did that. But it's I've never been that far down, like in Europe, in these kind of areas, which would have been nice because I mean it's great. Well, then I was just about to say great skiing, and then I know, since I've recently been reading also about the problems with less snow and everything due to the climate, that they're struggling quite some, some parts at least. But
I mean, there would be, I mean, if your whole industry depends on snow,
exactly,
and there's none, then you're pretty much screwed,
Yeah.
It's like the tropics without warm weather. The tropics get cold. Like no one's vacationing in the tropics as much anymore. It's just like, well, this is just like home. I don't have to.
Exactly. What is it? Yeah. So yeah, but cool. Yeah, that sounds nice. That sounds good.
Yeah. The only thing though is because Ty is at home now. It means that my days are now consumed by him essentially. So I'm having to try to juggle my stuff with him at the same time, but the struggle is real because trying to keep, trying to keep up with him and my stuff at the same time is quite challenging.
That's hard. It must be really hard. I can understand. I mean,
Yeah.
because the moment you get into something and you start to get into a flow, or if you do that, then you're most likely going to be interrupted, so
Pretty much. Yesterday I was trying to do something, and every few minutes, like, Daddy, look at this, look at that, look at this, look at that, and it's like you just keep shoving something in my face, and I'm like, bud, like, just like you do your thing, right, and I'll do my thing, and then when you're finished, we can sort of break down the stuff together, but. It's not been that, and also he's been a bit difficult recently since he's been home. So he's been doing things that he's not usually supposed to be doing, and which has been a bit irritating because of the fact that here I am trying to get my stuff done at the same time, having to keep up with him, and him not listening to certain things is sort of like that's just an extra irritation to the whole thing. So. Like at some moments I just sort of like handed him over tasks. I was like, I can't right now. I can't do it with him. Like I need a, I just need like, and she's like, it's okay. I know, I understand, so.
Yeah, a breather. Yeah,
it is. It has been. Because like for me, I think my main thing is be honest and be upfront. Like if you're told to do something, like do the thing. And just be honest about whatever if you do something wrong, like just say, just admit it, like say, hey, I did this thing, because in the end it's just like I'm gonna know, so but yeah, he's been sort of like not the best version of him at the moment.
Is it this week then?
Just this week since he's been home. I think it started on Friday. His last day at school was a bad day at school, wasn't really good. He got up to some naughty behavior. According to the teacher, he was putting his hands in the toilet and trying to touch other kids. And so I was like, ew, like what are you doing, mate? Because he's, he watches all these documentaries about viruses and all this sort of stuff. So it's like, he's usually very much not keen on that kind of stuff. But instead it's just, just sort of like he just... And he's fine up until that point, but it just was like a full 180 switch, and I was just like, "What's going on, man? Like, I don't get why that's your thing now. Like that's what you're doing." But in the end, I mean, I think what helps to a certain extent is the fact that it's not just me, like having like for example having Alex like remind me like, hey, like like okay, like I can see you getting upset, like like. Let me handle this, or that kind of stuff, so which is good, it's good because for me, I get upset, I'm like, look, go to bed, like you're sleeping for the you're gonna take a nap, and that's not realistic because then he'll wake up at a random time in the night and then so yeah, that's me when I get frustrated, because I'm like, there's no punishment I can give, like what it was like, I'll take away a toy or whatever have you. He'll just find something else to entertain himself. So, it's just.
I can understand. Yeah, it seems to be the same here. This period of time in Sweden is also. It depends on what part you live in the country. I think it's spread out, like it's 1 week here, and let's say 1 week in another area, and then 1 week in the last part of the country. So I think right now here in Stockholm, it is actually what's called sports holiday, meaning like one week that some people also actually go away skiing. So I'm not sure if it's here right now, but I understand you probably have. Yeah, it's about the same then. Like
it's about the same because there's a school break right now. So pretty much all kids here, at least as far as I'm aware, in the UK have a break from school for about a week, I think. And so usually what would happen is when they have a break, the boys would be at home. So like to that extent, like we could leave them together, and Xavi could sort of like keep an eye on Ty while he's doing his thing. But I think it's good. I think this is good for Xavi a lot more so than anyone else, because of the fact that
I believe so.
He gets some time to himself. He gets some time away from us. He gets some time to just have fun. The only thing is like hoping that he's safe, because as I say, like he doesn't communicate well when it comes to like, he'll say like, "Oh, Dad, I'll call you like at 12," and no call will come in. So it's sort of like, okay then. But then I know he's all right because then he'll send like a picture or something, or
Yeah,
he
there you
might
go.
text. But then it's like, have you forgotten you said you were gonna give me a call? Like, you know. So it's sort of like that, you know. He's telling me like his teacher said he's the top of the class for skiing right now. So I'm like, that's good. You know, I saw a video of him going down the slopes and everything like that. I've never been skiing, but I like to think I'd be great at it. So
It's great fun. It's great fun. I mean, has he been? I have to ask. Has he been skiing like that before,
no,
or
this
is
is
it the
his
first?
first time. This is
The
his first time.
first time. Oh well, that's nice. I mean,
Naturally talented.
there's different. Usually in these kind of facilities around the mountains and everything, you can choose the different slopes, you might say. So some are marked with like green, red, black, and I think black is the most advanced ones. And because when we started to the one sad thing for us is that we haven't been skiing for many years, because when Adam and Isaac were smaller, we went for on this time of the year to not like the really big mountains that I was used to from the north part of Sweden, but smaller places. Which is also a good way to learn, because they're not that big, and it's especially if you're a kid. So we did that, and they got pretty good at it, and especially Adam was really. It was one time that I think I went up. I mean, again, they were quite small, and I went up with him, and Anneli went up with Isaac. When you take the what is it called? Whatever, up to get up to the top. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we take it easy now. We can go here, but Adam was already gone or away, and he took, of course, that was the black slope. He just went, and not really like going, from side to side like slalom, as we say in Swedish. As you also can compete as. We had a great skier once in Sweden that was called Ingemar Stenmark. He won like everything year after year. It's such a thing, and I have to put this in there. Imagine you're at school and the teacher says, "Okay, kids, put down the pencil. Now we're gonna watch Ingemar Stenmark's skiing." And we went out from the classroom and sat and watched the TV when he was, taking his lap downwards or down the hill. And usually, he got the best time again. So then we went back to the classroom, and then when the second run was about to start, then we went out again and saw that too. That was a thing in Sweden in like the mid 70s and beginning of the 80s, because that's how big he was. It's kind of interesting to mention. But even so, back to Adam. He went down slow, no, but more like full speed, just straight down. And I consider myself to be, at least I was, a pretty, I mean, over average skier, since I started when I was like 6, 7, but I had to push hard to keep it, like, because of course I was a bit afraid that he, with that kind of speed, that he would, fall and break a leg or something, because that can easily happen.
You can break a leg falling going on a ski slope.
Easy, hands, wrists.
I thought because you're on snow, right? It's gonna be nice and soft
no.
padding, and
the snow is packed. The snow. Remember, it's hard. It's sometimes even a bit icy. That's the whole thing. That's why where you're going with these kind of skis, they have like small metal edges, so you can really carve the snow, if that makes sense, when you're turning. So it depends, of course, how you ski as well. That's what I meant, being a less aggressive. I mean, some people go off piste. That's a thing in itself. They leave the track going into the forest and between trees and everything. Usually with high speed. It's pretty cool. I've done a bit of that too. The powder snow, it really it's flying around you. It's cool. But the slopes they have machines that are packing the snow. That's the whole thing, so you can ski like that. I maybe I shouldn't have said this, so you don't get worried. But yeah, of course, it's a thing. I mean, I've had friends that have, they have broken a bone or an arm or something when skiing. So it's okay. Maybe we should change
Yeah,
topic now.
we can change topic on the skiing at the moment. But I think
Darn it, why did I talk about that? But
I
even
think
so, it
the
went
thing
well.
with
Adam came down. I just want to say that it was all fine, but I was a bit mad. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, why did you go here? And why do you go like that fast? You know that you can hurt yourself. Well, it was,
he probably
but it
was
went
like,
fine. It's all good. Yeah, now it is.
he's
But
like, yeah, you know what, this is normal, don't worry about it. Like,
exactly.
I could
It's
do this
like
I could do this with my eyes
typical.
closed.
Yeah, typical someone that was like, how old was he? Maybe 13, 12, 11, I would say. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, whatever. One of those moments.
Sweet. So,
Yeah.
how that's basically been my week, or I
Yeah.
should say, is my week right now that I'm going into right now, because the week is still ongoing. So, yeah. How about you? What have you been up to?
Yeah, but it's been quite. I would say nothing that I can think of that is different when it comes to things that I usually do. I have been continuing to be productive. That's like the week before, following my routines, and yeah, I've been doing well. I've been doing good stuff, and I'm expanding when it comes to the music libraries. I'm also now finally in the final phase when it comes to rebranding my second channel. So I'm going to start uploading music most probably this weekend to come. So that's going to be interesting to see how that works and everything. So yeah, that's in the in the pipeline. One thing that I need to mention that I will follow up like next podcast is the fact that I might have mentioned last time that I was contacted by a girl that she comes from the city where I was born and raised, and I went to school and everything. The funny thing is we haven't met because we were studying together at the ages of, when you're like 13 to 15, 16, around there. And yeah, nice girl. She contacted me. She was like, "Hey, I'm coming down to Stockholm for education due to her work." And she was like, "Do you want to hang out, talk a bit, maybe eat or something?" I said, "Sure." So we're gonna meet up today at like 5 p.m. and grab a bite and just talk a bit. We haven't seen each other since we were 15 years old.
I actually remember you mentioned this on the last
Yeah,
episode that you
I
were going to
think
meet
I
up.
did. I
So,
think I did. So
it's
it's
going to be
gonna happen
interesting
today.
to find out how, like,
Yeah,
how that interaction
yeah,
is going to be,
yeah.
especially because you haven't seen that person for so long. I think to myself, like,
Exactly.
who is like, is there someone that I knew growing up that I haven't spoken to in ages that I've reconnected with in recent time? And I can't think of anyone at the moment, but
No. The
it,
same here. The same here. That's why I got like first off when I saw like weeks ago now her first message on Messenger,
mhm,
since we're like friends on Facebook, I was like, oh hi,
mhm.
a bit surprised that she
Yeah.
contacted me, but I was happy to because
Mhm,
it's again I remember her as a really she's cool, she's nice and everything. So
mhm,
it's gonna be fun, to talk about the times back then, of course, and what's up now. And I know she met because I wrote to her yesterday evening just to, make an appointment regarding the time and everything for today. And she had already been out together with two other friends that lives here down in the south part of Sweden now. Also, I think they were former classmates of her, I believe. So I didn't know them, but I know who they were. So because she named them, so that's sweet, That's really nice. No, I haven't really been connecting with anyone else. A few over Facebook, to be
mhm,
honest. If it's something that is good with a platform like that, is that you can connect with some dudes that you haven't really been talking to, and you can also choose I mean, you can follow and then not really connecting if you don't want to, but you can, you have the option to just maybe watch if there's a pic being uploaded or something, or you might say hi. In this case, she really took contact, so that's kind of neat.
mhm.
So yeah, I'll come back regarding that tomorrow. No, not tomorrow, but
Well,
after
I'll know
tomorrow.
today,
Yeah,
probably, but the
exactly.
rest of you guys will find out next
Yeah,
next
something like
week
that.
on the next episode of
Indeed.
Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z. Oh my god. Hmm.
Oh man.
But also, I want to fill in, as you said,
Mhm.
same here. When it comes to, I mean, it's also what are we? Where are we at right now? It's February, and it's mid February. This is also the time here when things start to get a bit in between, like winter and spring.
Mhm.
I've seen since the last snow, at least for now, melted a few days ago. You see this small, it's pouring a bit on the sides of the road.
Mhm.
I hear some birds singing that I haven't heard for some time, so I guess they came back from their wherever they were during the winter. So it's some small signs that, yeah, we're getting there. Just hold on, we're getting there, I guess. But today it's cloudy. It's not that great weather, I guess. But yesterday is pretty good actually. So it is a mix,
Mhm.
definitely also here. Can't really decide yet, and it's going to be most likely like this at least throughout March and into April as well. Usually that's the case. Of course, a bit warmer and even longer days. But yep,
The long
that's it.
days. The long days. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Mm.
Beautiful. So
Mm.
let's talk about some games, bro. Let's talk about some games.
Yeah,
So
video games.
I've been playing something new as of this morning, and
Aha.
so I'll be honest. I woke up like 2 a.m. this morning. And the
Oh.
weirdest thing that's been happening to me recently is that I've been going to bed earlier and
Mm.
waking up earlier. Right, my body just wakes
Okay.
at 2. So I woke at 2 a.m. as I've been doing recently, and I hopped onto the computer. Actually, first I made something to eat, and then I hopped on the computer, and I basically sat down and said, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna first prep the stuff for the podcast," which I did. Set up all that kind of
Mm.
stuff, and now I'm gonna jump into a game that I have not played before. Let me jump into a new game so I can have something new to give to the listeners.
Mm.
So the game I chose was one on the Xbox, and I decided to go with a game from Game Pass, obviously, because I already have Game Pass. So I'm not gonna buy something new on the Xbox just to talk about it. And this is a game that's new to Game Pass, so it's recently been added to Game Pass, and it is a game called Mortal Shell Enhanced Edition, which it's an
Wow.
action adventure. It's also considered a role playing game. I don't really think of it as a role playing game. It's a Souls like, right? It is. It is basically a Souls game, but essentially the whole battle mechanic in it is all about putting up this shield, this like turning your body into like this solid rock thing, and then taking the hit and then attacking within the attack window that you have available, and then
Mhm.
dodging out of the way if you can, but also conserving your stamina, as well as the fact that you have all these items that you can find around the world, but you don't know what they do until you actually you actually use them. So for example, if I eat a mushroom, that mushroom could poison the shit out of me and kill me, but I wouldn't know that until I actually eat the bloody
Aha.
stinking mushroom, right?
Okay.
And if you eat enough of a specific item or you use enough of a specific item, you master that item. So in the case so far, I've only mastered one, which is a guitar kind of thing. And that means when I've mastered it, I can choose which songs I want to play from it, which is great.
Mhm.
I've also mastered, actually, no, I've mastered two things. I've mastered this mushroom that gives you health. So it actually increases it actually gives me back health at a quicker rate now that I've mastered it. So things like that is what happens as you play the game. The game is dark and gritty and I guess in its own way gorgeous.
Mhm.
If I want to say that, it's got that sort of like medieval dark fantasy beauty to it.
Okay.
And
Well, how would you define it? I mean, maybe you said it and I missed it. Again, I'm a bit tired this morning.
when you
But
say when you said
genre wise,
oh,
like
as I said, like it's like a Souls like, so it's like Dark Souls and that
okay,
kind of
got it.
stuff.
Mm,
So
yeah.
it's similar gameplay and so forth. It's on pretty much everything. So you can get it on PC, you
Mhm.
can get it on Switch, you can get it on PlayStation 5, you can get an Xbox and so forth. The weirdest thing though, I saw Switch listed as an option for this. I'm like, I don't know how this thing is gonna run on the Switch, but bloody hell, that's gonna be crazy, right?
Mm.
It's got 4K HD support for the Xbox, HDR10, all that kind of extra stuff, 60 frames per second plus, blah blah blah, smart delivery, and all that kind of stuff that people care about. Maybe
Yeah. Yeah.
it's listed as PEGI 16. I'd actually go 18 for this one. I think it's a bit dark and creepy.
Mm.
I would not
Okay.
go PEGI 16 on this one. I'd probably go because there's drugs and violence. So I think maybe
Ooh.
18, maybe, I'd say 16 with adult supervision. That's the best I can give it for 16.
Mm.
Publisher is Playstack and developer is called Symphony. Sorry, what? Symmetry. Is that, am I saying that correctly? Symmetry. Yeah, Symmetry. So the game actually originally released on back in 2020, but it is now on Game Pass. So for those of you who missed the original release for this game, you can get it on Game Pass. If you get it through Game Pass, you also get you can purchase it for $24.99 with a £5 discount on it, or dollars, or whatever currency you happen to have. So I like to think it's, so far from my experience with the game, it's a nice game. I've gotten really into it, and the most interesting thing is I've actually not even installed this on my Xbox. I've been playing this through the cloud, and it's been running smooth. Excuse me. So I'm just saying, this is one of the things that I do a lot when I want to test out a game before I download it on Xbox, is that I would usually test it on the cloud first, see how it runs, and then download it on my Xbox. But what I'm actually thinking to try out is, can I play it on the cloud on my Xbox, then download it to my PC, because that's what I prefer to be playing it, because my PC has better graphics than my Xbox, and then try playing on my PC and see if my save data transfers over with it. So that I'll have to get back to you guys on in the future, possibly. But for now, I am playing Mortal Shells Enhanced Edition on the Xbox Series S through cloud gaming, and it is beautiful. So that's what I've been up to gaming wise. Rog, what about you? You know?
yeah. What have I been doing? Actually, I thought I would only talk about one game, and mainly I will. But I would mention though that I did yesterday stream a game that was gifted to me through one of my amazing followers there, which is Sandro. He likes to send a horror game once in a while, one of those indie titles, and it's a game called Don't Be Afraid on Steam, and it's. Well, I'm not finished. I guess I'm halfway in, or a bit more than halfway, whatever, something like that. And it is a bit, it's a bit unhealthy when you think about the like the undertone of the game is a bit like, how should I put it? Should I say it's like you know. You play as an 11-year-old boy, and you like wake up and you have been captured in a basement, and there's this man called Franklin. And after some time, especially as an adult playing the game, you start to understand that he has been doing things with kids. You know,
it's a pedo
and
game.
it has the undertones are like and I'm not even talking about the scary stuff when it comes to weird shit happening and you trying to get out. But it was also interesting to play, because you're apparently shorter as well. So you're like 11-year-old, like you're not like an adult apparently. So, but it plays well. It's a Unity engine game, and I think they are balancing pretty well between how you present scares, like what is scary. That is of course also partly individual, but it's not one of those where it's like jump scares every time and around every corner and stuff like that. It has more finesse, you might say, than that. So don't be afraid. If you like horror games and want to get your hand on something that can be quite weird and freaky and scary, including, of course, everything that has to be in a game like this, like mannequins, hag, dolls, those kind of features. Well, there you got it. Don't be afraid. But I also want to mention that I actually went back playing some Apex Legends. Most of you guys know, if you're gaming, that Apex Legends is a battle royale game that has been out for years. And it was also like years ago since I played it the last time. I played it when it started. I played the first 2 seasons. I did play quite a lot. I saw that now when I got onto my profile again. It was good though to be able to install it via Steam and not through like the former Origin launcher, even though you have to, approve through the EA Play, even so. But yeah, so I went in there, and the reason why I did that, well, it's season 16, so quite a few things has happened. It's because they have added another game mode, you might say. It's a kind of a team deathmatch game mode. It's a 3v3 or 4v4, something like that. And it has this kind of 3-round based elimination. So if you guys die, apparently, if your team dies, then the first round is over. The point goes to the enemy team, but then you have 2 other rounds. And it's like a buy menu in the beginning of each round, so you have some kind of money management when it comes to then buying the weapons or gadgets you need. Remember that the characters and the heroes, whatever they were called in Apex, has already forgotten, have their different abilities. I mainly mained as a healer girl, and also don't ask me about the name. As said, I haven't played this game for years. It was fun, although I do wonder what Respawn Entertainment, by the way, the devs behind games such as Titanfall 1 and 2, they went on then after that and also did Apex Legends, because they've been talking about the game as something that might, also be able to introduce like new players to Apex Legends, because you get a chance to play a bit more, how should we put it, like casual, and try out weapons and whatever have you to get more into the game, and also be ready for playing some Battle Royale if you want to. I am not sure I fully agree with that, because the fact that they don't have this classical Respawn team deathmatch kind of game mode, because if you're playing like that, it's mostly the team that has the most kills after, let's say, 8 minutes of gameplay wins. But that's not the case here. Apparently it is an elimination, and that means that it will be, just by that, a bit more sweaty. And especially also since the matchmaking was a bit of a yo-yo. It goes up and down. Sometimes I was matched with people that apparently have not played much at all. And on the other side, you had maybe 3 guys that actually were playing together. And most likely, when I saw their stats, have been playing quite some Apex Legends. So it becomes very unbalanced just by that. I don't think there's a thing in the matchmaking system here that can kind of track if there's a party and then try to match up with another party. I don't think that ranks play a role here at all. And maybe it should be like that. I mean, I'm fine. I'm most likely going to play with someone else later down the line also, because usually that's the best way to play these games. But I think it's don't get me wrong, it's a good addition to the game. I'm glad that they're doing this. And then I had fun times and moments. I actually played quite some yesterday. But I do think if we're talking about, if the goal is to, well, maybe amuse also already existing players, I can understand. But if they want to have new players coming into the game, then maybe, just maybe, there should be even another option. Because otherwise, in my opinion, you are better off as a newbie to, what I believe, to get into the training mode, into the shooting range, spend time there, like easy by yourself, and really start to get better with the guns and the recoil, the aim, everything. So I don't know. We're gonna see how it plays out. It's fairly new. I think it was just added like now or at like last week, something like that. So that's Apex Legends. Will I play Battle Royale again when it comes to Apex? I'm not sure. I've never been a huge Battle Royale fan. I will though play Warzone 2.0 and Warzone DMC this upcoming weekend on Sunday, since Season 2 has arrived when it comes to Modern Warfare 2. Which, by the way, is not doing well. I've said it before. I think Activision is a bit stressed out, and a sign when it comes to that is the fact that they are breaking the 2-year cycle that they were talking about. The whole idea was to let Modern Warfare 2 be out for 2 years, no new COD like this year. But then they announced that they will make another game, and it's going to be Sledgehammer Games that are doing that game, and I'm not happy about that at all.
I mean, you
Uh,
can you say that you're surprised though? I mean, these devs
no,
have been just saying a lot of stuff that they're gonna do, and or publishers, I should say, and then
yes,
changing their mind halfway through the
yeah,
cycle. So it's
yeah,
like it's modern gaming for you nowadays.
yes,
You get promises that are
fully.
broken all the time.
Yep, yeah. It's yeah. It has become like I don't know how to put it, like bad culture.
It is,
if
yeah, bad culture
and
indeed.
people might argue and say, well, games were released before and it was this and that, but I would, as a whole, I would disagree.
Hmm.
Because I think that it has gotten worse, and especially at when you're talking about exactly what you said, when it comes to keeping promises or breaking promises for that sake, that has happened more and more the last years, I believe.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't know, man. It is what it is, but it's not good.
It
Sadly.
definitely isn't good. It pretty much sucks for
Yeah.
us the end users most of the time when these sort of things happen. Especially it means that the longevity of the game that you have that was supposed to be a bit longer, maybe a 2 year cycle or whatever have you, is now less. And especially because of the fact that COD is Call of Duty is usually a $60 game or 70 as it
I
is
would say
now.
70. Yeah.
The fact that it's usually a full price title and then they recycle it again. Now, if it was like a games of a service game in the sense of like it was free to play and they were just
Yeah.
updating it annually, then that would make sense. That'd be fine.
Yeah.
But for a game that should last a bit longer because you're paying a full price for it
Mm.
and stuff like that, I think yeah, having a full 2 year and then adding updates and stuff like that, especially because COD updates are already notorious for being massive as they are already,
Yeah.
So
But the weird thing also, Q, is that like now it's less content. I mean, what they
mhm,
do, and you said the word, they're recycling. I
yeah,
mean, they're putting the same. This is also a sign of a problem that they are
mhm,
using the same maps from older Call of Duties and putting them into the new games. Some things that, oh, that's great, I love that map, but I've been playing those maps over and over and over again. I want new stuff, I want new content, man.
mhm,
And it's like it's also so clear that the main target, the main audience, or the whole like focus is on Warzone,
mhm,
like Battle Royale.
mhm,
I when I look at the notes when it comes to the content overall and what's being done with the game, the normal multiplayer nowadays does not get a lot of love,
mhm,
and it's also interesting. Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, I mean, Call of Duty has been one of those franchises that have been releasing a full title every year,
mhm,
but now they made a big thing and a big saying about no, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be 2 years. Then this the Modern Warfare 2 release,
mhm,
like November last year was the start of it.
mhm,
And then now, when they see that the numbers have gone down so heavily, and especially also since Vanguard by Sledgehammer was a big flop last year,
mhm,
then they decide, oh, we have to put out another one like this year to come. Meaning, and I wonder how's that gonna be. I
mhm,
mean, I know they have to please the shareholders. I guess money wise, though, it seems even the player count. If you watch Steam, the player count has gone down quite dramatically. I think Modern Warfare 2 is like on the 10th or 11th place when it comes to the most played games in the genre
mhm,
or overall. I mean, I've said it before, CSGO is still thriving. It's up there. It's like I think it's number one when it comes to
mhm.
the most played games. It's so old now, but it's still doing amazing. Because they know what they did with the game. It was really, really good from the start. And they've also allowed, like, I'm not even going there. But I'm just saying that, yeah, the development, they are, I don't know. It's apparently what I'm trying to say. I also heard that, well, they haven't lost that much money though compared to before, because apparently the fewer people that are still around, still playing the game, they are money big, so they do spend enough money in the game buying stuff.
Mhm.
Uh, I guess so. Then they're happy, but it doesn't matter if the game is good or not. At least as long as they sell enough copies and sell enough of the content inside when it comes to skins and everything, then it's fine. Oh my god, almost going on a rant here. I was about to start, but I held back a bit at least.
Oh, well, it is what it is. It's kind of
it is
it's par for the course for this sort of industry and for the games that multiplayer games today as they are right now. I think at the end of the day, it's a cycle, and eventually, what's old is new, and what's new is old. And at the end of the day, we can see, like, for example, like with Halo, if what has happened with Halo, in the sense, like, if you don't really provide what the user base want, or at least a good enough product, then you lose out in the end. And that's essentially what's happened to Halo. And I think
Halo 343 Studio 343 has literally killed off Halo. I can say that. It's so, I am so sad actually about this and what has happened. It's a perfect example, Q, especially in the FPS industry also. It's I'm devastated when I think about it. I mean, I was, and I say I was, a huge Halo fan, and to a certain extent, I still am. But what happened with Halo Infinite and everything is just it's a shame. That's what it is.
It's a sign that nothing is too big to fail, essentially, because if you ask someone years ago if it was possible for a Halo game to fail, they'd tell you no, because of the popularity and everything like that it carried with it. But now, with the knowledge of what has happened to it now, you can easily say, yeah, nothing is too big to fail, not even Call of Duty. And it doesn't matter how popular it may be now. You have to consider, again, what is the most popular game now for people? You hear talk about Apex, you hear talk about Fortnite, you hear talk about what's the other one, Genshin Impact, and those tend to be the top three at the moment for younger gamers. Your kids, and usually the younger gamers, they're the market. That's usually where the target is at for the most part. For the older gamers, we'll still have our nostalgia and we'll still go for the games that we know and stuff like that. But if we become disenfranchised, where most of us are at a stage in our lives where we can do without the game, where we can say, hey, you know what, I don't have to play it. Or, at the end of the day, maybe we switch to something else,
Yeah.
And so at the end of it all, it's like, when developers do stuff like that, they're basically setting themselves up to fail, and it's a sad thing.
Yeah, it's a sad, and I understand it's hard to target or do something that pleases the masses or everyone. That's literally impossible. But my feeling, for example, luckily I do play so many other games, and I'm not. I don't have to play Call of Duty, to be honest, but it's still talking about it. I can also see through the years, since I have been playing those games on a frequent basis all through the years, at least some. Also, another thing is that the skill level is going down, because what happens is, if you look, for example, if you check out aim assist, the aim assist is just getting stronger and stronger every year. And it's pretty clear. I've talked about it before also, to whom they are targeting the games. It's like the mostly the casual games that are maybe playing once a week or 2 times a month, that should be able to get in there and not getting absolutely smashed, because then they don't want to play and they don't buy the game. But there is a problem, because there's a huge also community of players that have been playing these kind of games for a long time and that are actually good at the game. And what should they do? I mean, where should they go? What should they play? I mean, come on. I mean, now they're adding also in season 2, months after release, they are adding ranked in Modern Warfare 2. It should have been there from the start.
It should have.
It's one of those things that should be there from the start. It's so stupid. I saw another YouTuber. His name is Marksman. He made a video, since he has actually been playing also, which I did some, the Call of Duty mobile game. And he was just, why is it that a free game like this has all the maps, amazing skins / camos, but a $70 game like Modern Warfare 2 has like 8 multiplayer maps, boring camos, not much content overall. But why is it like this? It's a good question. It's actually a good question. You know.
I mean,
So.
it's a similar conversation I had with I think with my brother and a friend about eFootball. It's like
I can't imagine.
it's similarly there's a lot of modes that are just missing from the game that used to be there. You used to be able to play multiplayer with like a friend, and that's gone. You can't. That's no longer in there. Or you'd be able to basically play single player by yourself. That's no longer there, and so forth. And the focus is mainly on the fact that they can sell you cards and all this sort of stuff in the game. And it's things like that makes you then come to the conclusion like, maybe I may want to drop this game and pick up something else. Maybe that's the next play with regards to stuff like that. And I myself, I've been thinking about it, like, with regards to I've been thinking about dropping it and picking up something else. I haven't as of yet, but it has been on my mind. I have been considering it. I have been considering dropping the game and picking up something new. But at the end of it all, it's the industry that we live in. As gamers, we kind of expect that kind of stuff now for modern games and so forth. So yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. But that being said, let's talk about something positive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's get out of this little.
And that thing is The Last of Us on HBO episode 5, which I watched this morning. And so,
whoa.
Yeah, I'm curious, Raj. You've watched the episode, right?
Oh, yeah.
You've watched episode 5 and so forth. What did you think?
Well, first off, I was happy that they actually released the episode earlier. Usually it comes once a week, but due to Super Bowl in the US this last weekend, they released it before the weekend.
I didn't even know that.
Okay. Yeah, so and I say we, both me, Anneli, and Isaac saw it, well, I guess on Saturday. It was released late, like my time, late on Friday. So yeah, episode 5, I thought it was good. I think the series are just continuing to being good and entertaining in so many ways. The last, and now we're getting into spoilers and everything again. We've said it so many times, so that's what it is. But the last episode ended with Joel and Ellie sleeping in this building, trying to stay away from the raiders out there and everything. And they woke up when two guys, well, a grown-up man and not so grown-up man, a boy, were pointing weapons at them. So it turns out that these guys, after some time, when they actually calm down and start to talk about the situation, and they get along somewhat, at least to the point that they decide to try to help each other, or at least Henry, that's the guy's name, and actually I thought at first that the younger boy was his son, but it's not. It's actually his younger brother that is trying to protect, and he's deaf, he can't hear. So they're using this kind of sign language. What is it called in English?
It's sign language. That's
yeah,
what
okay.
it's
I was on the target. So Henry is the guy that Kathleen and these raiders, or whatever you want to call them, are searching for. Since he has been like as he explains later on, also for Joel, an infiltrator kind of, also to the Fedra, telling secrets to Fedra and everything. So, and selling out literally secrets when it comes to also Kathleen's brother, or the death of Kathleen's brother. That's why she's so eager to get her hands on Henry for revenge. And I think it started nice there, and also of course Ellie connected well with Sam, little Sam, started to play with him literally and stuff like that. So that was good for him, or for them, I guess. But they also realized they need to move on. They need to get out of the city. And that's where Henry had his kind of selling point, that I know things, I know where to go. There's this tunnel system that we can use. And there used to be infected down there, but it shouldn't be now. Joel was very hesitant. It was like, well, I don't know about this, but they went apparently, yeah. And yeah, they stayed a bit down there as well. They found one of these rooms down there where apparently survivors from before had been living for some time. But as it is, getting up to the surface again, they're getting shot at from a house, and Joel, because he see that the guy is not shooting well, so he's taking the risk to try to flank him. So he gets into the house. It turns out to be an old man sitting with a rifle shooting, and Joel tries to just convince him to let him have the gun, and then they will leave. But you can understand, even though you don't see it, because the camera goes back to Ellie on the street together with Henry and Sam, that Joel has to shoot the old man. So he comes back with the rifle, and just there, Kathleen. No, he doesn't come back. He stays, but he screams down to Sam, Henry, and Ellie that they're gonna meet up. But at that point, they have to start running, because behind them, Kathleen and her pack is coming with the cars full speed, and the action goes, takes on from there. Right? It's a hell of a fight, because I mean, Joel sits up there and starts sniping these guys coming up from the cars. And just when they are about to, I mean, there are many. So what can they do? They're just trying. So Sam and Henry and of course Ellie is just trying to hide behind cars, because it's like this wasteland of cars as well, of course, as it is in this series. And then something happens to their advantage. It turns out, because the earth are literally boiling or cooking, because there are clickers about to come up to the surface, and we're not talking 1, 2, but a horde. And it becomes a pretty action-filled fight right there. And if Ellie, for example, throws herself into a car trying to hide, a small little clicker girl comes along into the car, and she has to get out again. And she's very heroic also when she helps actually Henry and Sam that are hiding under the car, and I think it's like 2 clickers trying to get them. But it gets even more intense when we finally see one of the, like, I would say, boss clickers coming up from the ground, the big boy, and starts to smash the raiders to the left and right. They're fortunate to pass through, so to speak, and meet up with Joel coming down from the building. But then Kathleen shows up and holding a gun, and she wants, of course, to kill Henry. But just when she's most likely about to pull the trigger, this little, how do you say, kid clicker that was chasing Ellie gets onto her, kills her so they can escape. So I guess that's just the most of it, at least. But then, of course, later you have to feel I'm telling the whole episode.
I'm just sitting listening. I'm just like, wow, this is a full recap. Anyone listening is sort of like, well, I don't need to watch the episode anymore.
No, but I think it's so interesting because this is I kind of was waiting for a moment where it would go south for maybe not all these raiders, but at least Kathleen probably, and of course her, what is it called, like her closest man, which is
the second in command or whatever.
Yeah, whatever, and that happened. But also later when they got out of the heat, it turned out that, well, Ellie found out that Sam, and this is the huge spoiler, that Sam got infected during that struggle or fight. So it ends up that, Henry takes the gun, and basically, well, it's a weird situation. It goes very fast, but he shoots Sam. That's what he does. And then he shoots himself. So Ellie and Joel are back alone on the street. That's the gist of it, I guess. Well, I don't know. I recapped the whole freaking episode, but it was so intense and good. I think we have to. If you're not watching this and are not supposed to watch it, I think it's good to know, because this is actually, yeah. What do you say? Did you like it, or was it something you?
I did. I did enjoy this episode, and I think it's one of those episodes that connects so well with the games, and why the games were so great is the fact that it doesn't go the way a traditional show would go, a traditional television show would go. You know, like the good guys always win, or whatever happen. They'll have all this sort of build up, and eventually stuff will just work out. Sort itself out, and it's more of a realistic sort of like experience as to how things go, and I like that, in the sense of the brother, the son getting bitten, and then it also shows the human side of things, like what would you do for your kids to protect them or to save their lives? What would you be willing to do? Would you be willing to become a monster? Would you be willing to become a villain, essentially, to protect those that, or to save those that you want to, that you care about or that you love? Will that be your choice in that situation? And I like that. I like the fact that it puts you, it sort of puts the characters in such a thick moral situation, and it also leaves you, the viewer, thinking like, what would you do in a similar situation? At least that's how it was for me. Like I started thinking like, wow, would I do something as such in a situation like that, if it meant saving the life of my kids, or of my partner, or my someone else in my family that I cared about? Would I be willing to make such a decision or such a choice to save them? And it's, as I say, it's terrifying to consider such a thought, but it's also interesting and intriguing to consider at the exact same time. And thankfully, we don't have to make that decision at this particular point in time, but getting to understand the characters and understand the choices that they had to make and so forth, it makes sense. Also, the thing with Kathleen, she's obviously the villain in this particular sort of arc of the story, but at the same time, it's like, she's you can understand why she's the villain as well, or why she thinks the way she thinks and all that kind of stuff. Because I think to myself, like, if someone was to hurt a family member of mine, that was to do something to lead to the death of a family member of mine that I really care about to that extent, like, to a certain extent, like, I'd burn I'd basically probably burn the earth. I'd scorch everything. I'd be like, look, I got nothing to live for anymore. Such is life, kind of situation. I can understand, like, she's obviously really close with her brother and stuff like that. And
and you remember, right? There was this, as you said, also this humanizing kind of moment when the second man of command, like Perry and her, were talking. I think they were actually, she was in the room where she grew up with the, like, also together with her brother. I think there was a moment also when to also show that, well, she's human, and she's had these kind of experiences also in this chaotic world, and it kind of explains also why. And so as you say, to a certain extent, you can definitely understand. Although she's blinded by this, of course, and
she is
very. I mean, that's also what we saw and talked about the episode before, when Perry found out this bulging like cement, knowing that there's definitely a hive, or whatever you want to call it, a lot of clickers underneath there, and she was like, "No, that's not our priority right now. Our priority is to find Henry and the other guys." That was her saying.
And I think the thing too as well in this episode, for those who haven't played the game, I think there's such a big mystery to be had. Or maybe if you played the games and you've forgotten by now who the hell Henry is, or you've forgotten some of the story beats of it in total. Wondering what the hell why is she so hell bent on getting this guy? Because for the whole episode, they don't really allude to it up until there's that scene with Henry and Joel sitting down and chatting, and he tells him about what he's done. So for all of that point, you're wondering, like, why is it that she's basically sacrificing everyone? The people, literally everyone under her charge and so forth, all of her men, sort of like just putting all these resources towards just getting this one guy, killing all these people just for this one guy. And in the end, you get to understand, okay, cool, this is why. And then also to understand, like, why is it that all those people are following her, on her revenge thing, is that the guy who was killed was like their leader, and he was their guy, and so forth. And so you get to understand, okay, cool, they've also got a sort of a vendetta at the same time, and a reason to sort of, or at least a semi reason to follow her to that extent. But at the end of it all, it just basically showed that her completely chasing after revenge blindly, just cost her her life. Because even in the end, when they were all being attacked by these monsters, all she could think about is, I want to kill Henry. That's all she could think. She couldn't. She didn't think about, oh well, my life. She didn't think about the lives of anyone else around her. She didn't consider the situation as, holy shit, this thing is popping off and everyone's gonna die. All she could think about is like, holy crap, all I need to do is kill this guy. Like, this is the only thing in my mind. And in the end, it turns out that, you know what, it was all for nothing, because Henry dies, Sam dies, she dies, all the other people die. Yeah. It's sort of I guess I don't even want to I don't even know how to describe it, but it's just sort of a thing of just sort of like, it shows that a lot of the things that we human beings do is all for naught, because we all go back the same way, and we can't see how things will turn out, because in the end, for her, she probably died thinking, crap, I didn't get him. And in the end, Henry did die. He did kill himself, and in the same way for Henry, he was thinking, holy crap, we got away, and I'm going to be safe with my son and all this sort of stuff. Maybe all these decisions that I made, it's going to pay off in the end. And in the end, he had to shoot his son himself,
his brother, remember?
Wasn't Sam his son?
No.
Oh, bloody hell.
I thought so too all the time, but it actually says that it's his younger...
his younger brother.
Yeah.
And, even more so, that sort of hard decision to make, because in the end, Joel rushes to get his weapon, and he basically knocks it out of the way. And there's a moment where it's like, is he gonna sacrifice Joel and Ellie just for, like, knowing full well that his brother can be turned back, essentially? And then I think the other thing too as well is there's that sort of like hope moment in the scene prior to that, where Ellie sort of like cuts herself and rubs her open wound onto his open wound. And for those who don't know the story, again, it's like, it's a sort of like a hope moment where you're thinking like, oh, what if, what if her blood does work like that? What if her just touching? Because for me, the first thing I'm thinking is amputate the leg. That's the first thing I'm thinking about. I'm thinking like, if you get an infection from something and it's not too long, because it takes a while before it has to spread from that point, amputate the leg, right? You cut off, because you can see where it's stretching out from and it's going through the body. So essentially, if you cut the leg off, you cut it off at the source, and hopefully you can save the individual at the end of it. But then they were kids as well, and they made a kid decision. And the other thing too, I can't remember, is that even a thing in The Last of Us? Like, can you actually amputate your body to save the person? Like, is that even a thing? Does that even work?
I don't think so, to be honest. It's nothing that I even remember from playing. I mean,
I don't remember it either.
No,
so that's...
I'm afraid not. Otherwise, I guess they would have considered at least. Probably someone tried. And they found out it didn't work. Another thing I wanted to fill in is also how the episode started, which is one of those. It was good to see that the background also kind of knitting things together when it comes to Sam and Henry being helped by this doctor that we talked about the last time, that actually Kathleen decided to shoot because he didn't want to reveal where Henry was hiding. Because they found their former hiding place in the episode before. Now we saw, like, back in time, where this doctor helped them up to this loft area on the high end of a building. So they stayed there for some time, Henry and Sam, and we got to know them a bit more. And then apparently they started to realize, since the doctor did not come back, and they also Henry witnessed through the planks of the hiding place there, that that was the moment also when Joel and Ellie entered the city and started the fight against a few of the 3-4 guys uh, from the raiders, you know. So it kind of everything got together there, up to where they also went into the same building later to find Joel and Ellie sleeping. You know, so yeah, I kind of like that too. They are building up things pretty well also around the characters in the series. It has more than just one layer, if that makes sense, and yeah, it's good storytelling. I think also, as you said, it's good with the I mean, the game is good, and the story in the game is good, and that reaches out pretty far. Just that, and also the small things they have added, certain characters here and there. It's been working well, and it's yeah, it's really a good one of those good series when it comes to doing something when it comes to video game.
I actually think because of the nature of the type of story it is, the type of game that it is, it lends well to, you know, to being made into a film, especially because of the fact of how Naughty Dog have done their storytelling. I think even if they were just like one for one, take everything exactly as it is in the game and turn it into a film, or you know, just take all the game, it would just work because of just that's the games are basically like films. The Uncharted games, the Last of Us games, pretty much what Naughty Dog have been working on for the past, I don't know, 10 years or so. The types of games they've been doing have been like that. You know, they've been sort of thing, and it makes me wonder what is Naughty Dog bringing next. You know,
that's a good question. I have no idea what they're working on. So
that's the thing. You know, it's like whatever they bring next, because
or maybe they just become Valve and just start to do other things along the side, but just monitoring their success with their games that have already been releasing. I have no idea.
For me, I hope they drop The Last of Us and Uncharted. Like those games have been done. They're finished. You don't need to go back to those stories. And I think just start a new story with a new experience or something like that, where they tell the stories the way they tell their stories. Essentially, this sort of human very real stories that they put into their games. So yeah, you know, because like Uncharted is like the Indiana Jones sort of like story, you know, the adventure kind of thing. The Last of Us is like survival horror kind of, you know, real life what if storyline. And I think it'd be interesting to see like what else they can sort of like dig their teeth into, but still sticking to that type of storytelling. So yeah, I'm keen to see what Naughty Dog do again in the future, and I can easily say that The Last of Us on HBO is just as good as the games, or at least as the first game, because I don't fully know the story of the second game, but I've heard bad things and good things, so who knows, right? But I can say at least this first what do you call it, this series so far has been going quite interestingly, and I am intrigued. I'm intrigued to see what comes next. And
exactly, episode 4 at the end of this week. Then no, maybe they go back to, I don't know when they're gonna release the next.
I think they'll go back to the regular schedule. My assumption is that's how they would do it. And this is the new Game of Thrones like series, if you want to call it that, because it is that new big series that people can't resist digging their teeth into. But that being said, that's our take on The Last of Us episode 5. If you guys want to drop a bit of your take in there, just drop it in the comment section and so forth, and we will reply as we get the chance. But that being said, it's about time we wrap the show up. We do have things that we need to do, like, you know, work and stuff, and family things. So with that, it's a thing that we usually write about now, Raj. What's that thing called?
Shout out for your podcast.
Shout out for your podcast this week is actually a podcast called The Innocent Podcast. There's no description for it at this particular point in time. I forgot to send it to Raj, actually.
It's okay.
I usually send the description. But The Innocent Podcast, I'll give the description. It's basically an anime podcast that I started doing with a friend of mine who's also from Sweden and also from Trinidad, called Hans. And we basically do that. Well, we used to do it once a week, and we stopped after Christmas. So we went all the way up to Christmas. I think we did like 17 episodes or something, and then we took a break, and we started back up last weekend. We did the first episode of the year. So if you want to go check that out, it was on Velma, Hans's choice. He chose that series. So we did watch Velma, which is also on HBO, and we've given our take on that series. If you want to check it out, you can go over and check it out on their full conversation and breakdown of everything, of what we think of it and so forth. Other than that, I think it's about time we get out of here. So, Rod, what do you say we just wrap it up, and I can go and have post-podcast breakfast, because I have pre-podcast breakfast. Now I have to have post-podcast breakfast, which is another egg sandwich. So let's go.
Sounds like a good schedule. Yeah, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed. As always, we try to give you good tips here also when it comes to some good video games. And of course, also right now, the focus is on the beautiful The Last of Us series on HBO or on HBO Max. With that said, have a beautiful continuation of your week. Take care, stay healthy, and have fun. Enjoy life to the fullest. Muffin and out.
Beautiful as always. So with that, guys, thank you very much for listening to this episode of That Beautiful Life podcast. Many beautiful people like to subscribe to this podcast. Oh, wait, before I get into that, I almost forgot. You can find Raj pretty much everywhere at 40 Splish Splash. That's the number 40, SPLISH, SPLASH. He streams on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and on a Sunday. That's correct?
Yep.
Pretty much. You can find me on LP Guardian, that's Guardian Talk to you. Or you can also find me at Simply Binge, or find us at Simply Binge. I stream on Simply Binge on Twitch on a Monday and a Thursday, which means I'm not streaming today. Today is Wednesday. I'm going to be watching Champions League today. That's it. Watching some football, you know. But that being said, as always, we wouldn't like you to miss on any of the episodes of That Beautiful Life podcast. Many beautiful people like you subscribe to this podcast on Castbox, Acast, Spotify, iTunes, simplybinge.com, Google Podcasts, and elsewhere. And with some company you're going to like it, that we're giving it for free. So as always, guys, this has been queued for your pleasure. And it's a wrap. There's the episode.